Okay, welcome to today's webinar, the Kony Roadmap webinar. Your presenter today is Faizan Khalidi, and he is the Senior Director of Product Management at Kony. And he's agreed to join us today and give us a little insight into what's coming up for Kony. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A and not the chat. We have other team members from the product management team who are answering questions via the Q&A, so make sure you use that. And at the end, there'll be a little time for questions and answers. Make sure you check the events page on Basecamp because we have a upgrade webinar coming up on March 6th. So if you're considering upgrading, that would be a great workshop to attend. And enjoy the webinar. Faizan?
Thanks, Mary. Let me quickly share my presentation here. I'm hoping everyone is able to hear me loud and clear. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the attendees joining us today from across the world for this webinar. I'll start with a quick review of our mission at Kony. It's important to know what we do at Kony every day. At Kony, we enable and accelerate our clients' omni-channel digital journey with exceptional, secure, and affordable apps, right? And with that, we have a very packed agenda today. We will start with the AppPlatform overview, and then we'll have a quick recap of the AppPlatform V8, and then we'll get into an overview of the first service pack after the V8 version. And then we will finally review the AppPlatform roadmap for the next few months. So let me get started with the Kony AppPlatform overview. We had our first webinar on Basecamp last month on the Kony AppPlatform V8, which is the version 8 of our Kony AppPlatform, which includes both the visualizer and the Kony Fabric. And some of you may not have attended this, or you may not be aware of the Kony AppPlatform. So let me start with a quick overview. Like I said, the Kony AppPlatform consolidates both our front-end product, the Kony Visualizer, and our back-end product, the Kony Fabric. Right? As part of the Kony Visualizer, we have a very powerful Kony Nitro framework that Kony Visualizer is built upon. And this Kony Nitro framework, which we'll quickly have an overview of in about a minute, consists of or basically abstracts the native and the web APIs and frameworks that are available on the underlying native platforms and the web platforms, right? So we have this omnichannel API framework, and then we have a native API framework which allows our users to extend and reuse all the native APIs, and then we have the hybrid and the web framework, which allows you to extend and use all the web APIs and the web content out there. Kony Visualizer can be used by visual designers, by low-code developers, and even advanced developers, and it provides the tooling to develop omni-channel APIs for different platforms and channels like the phones, tablets, desktop, wearables, kiosks, and even chatbots, right? Kony Visualizer has this visual app design canvas, which makes it easy and provides kind of a WYSIWYG development environment and a live preview functionality as well. So this kind of makes up Kony Visualizer, which is our front-end development tool, right? And on the back end, when you have to, maybe connect to your services or connect to your enterprise backends and things like that, we have Kony Fabric for this. That's the second part of the Kony AppPlatform. Kony Fabric exposes a lot of the integration services, the orchestration services, and things like these. And these integration services provide a lot of out-of-the-box connectors and adapters, right? So we provide connectors to backends like SAP, Salesforce, and things like that. And then we have a lot of technology adapters like the Java adapter, the JSON, the REST API adapters, and more other technology adapters that are defined. To connect with the front end, we have a lot of client SDKs exposed. not only the Kony Visualizer SDK that is used to, integrate with Fabric, but we have SDKs that exposed for native applications like iOS, Android, Windows, and then we have a JavaScript SDK as well for web. Apart from the integration, orchestration services, we have an object services layer, right? So this object services layer allows you to, abstract objects and abstract these integration and orchestration services and identity services with an object. And this object layer is something that allows you to, have that abstracted layer exposed only to expose the objects that you would only require for the client-side application, right? So this object services layer basically allows you to create objects and then abstract the integration orchestration services within it, and then only expose the objects you would want to have the client-side application be aware of. We have a full set of API management capabilities as part of Kony Fabric, and as well as we have, backend services to connect to different layers of the enterprise architecture. A Kony Fabric also provides a very powerful end-to-end analytics mechanism. So we have the capability to collect analytics and then, generate different kinds of reports on that. We do provide a lot of standard reports out of the box, and then we also provide a few other custom reports. Custom reporting capabilities as well. So all this, at the end of it, goes and connects to your enterprise systems and your enterprise backends, right? So you may be connected to your web services, you may be connecting to the content management systems, to databases, you may connect to your big data systems, or you might have a campaign system connected to our engagement services, which is again a part of our Kony Fabric, right? So all these are, all these work together. And then all the artifacts that come out of Kony Visualizer and Kony Fabric can be reused, right? So you have things like, you have artifacts like applications, you have artifacts like collections and components coming in from the Kony Visualizer, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And then you might have some code modules, backend services, data adapters, and things like that. So all of these can be, exported out of the product as components, and you can make these available on the Kony Marketplace, and we already provide a lot of these components in our Kony Marketplace, right? So please go, when you have a chance, go ahead and look at all the different components and all the different artifacts that we expose as part of the Kony Marketplace, right? So it's all this together, so we have the Kony AppPlatform, and then we connect to the enterprise systems and services, and then we have the Kony Marketplace, where we provide the capability to reuse and share your assets that we have, right? So this kind of comprises the entire AppPlatform, theme, right? Like I said, we'll quickly jump a bit into Kony Nitro. I'll not delve into this a lot, but this is important to understand the web and native capabilities, which form the crux of many of the V8 features and the features going ahead as well, right? So all of you, if you have been using Kony, I'm sure you would be using Kony Visualizer, which consists of all the Kony omnichannel layer, right? So the Kony omnichannel layer basically provides an abstraction over the native platforms and the native, the OS capabilities, right? So we have a Kony native JavaScript bridge, which kind of abstracts the APIs and abstracts the, the native views and provides you APIs and widgets through Kony, right? And we provide platform-specific properties to some of these views to ensure that you get all the flavors of each of the operating system available to you when you're designing your apps. We have a very robust layout engine and a design engine that we provide as part of the omnichannel framework as well, right? And all of these, so all these APIs and all the widgets, we have a Kony native JavaScript layer, which allows our users to, to use these APIs or to develop using these APIs and widgets, right? So that's the omnichannel JavaScript layer. But on top of that, we also provide this capability to create this cross-platform UX, right? So apart from the Kony Visualizer canvas, we have the drag and drop widget, the what you see is what you get kind of capabilities within Visualizer, where you can drag and drop these platform-specific, UX, and then you can make these OS-specific UI enhancements to it as well. Now, once we have, so that's the core of the Kony visualizer, right, where we provide the omnichannel capabilities. Apart from that, we provide you access to all the native APIs as well, right? So apart from all these abstracted APIs, you have access to all the 100% of the native frameworks and APIs available for iOS or Java or Android, right, and using Java. All of these can be directly, used through JavaScript within Kony, right? So we have this abstraction layer, again, provided for all 100% of the native APIs and frameworks. And these are, generated specifically for each of the OS, right? So if you would have to write, if you would have to use a specific native framework from iOS, like maybe a HealthKit or maybe a SceneKit, which is not available as part of the Kony omnichannel APIs, then you could end up using the native framework interface that Kony provides, right? The NFIs, which expose all these underlying native APIs. And then we also expose all the, a lot of the Kony, the hybrid and the web piece of the world, right? So we expose, we add the capability to allow users to include any kind of web and JavaScript or CSS or JavaScript libraries like Angular, Bootstrap, all of those within Kony itself, right? So within a Kony application, you can import these, you can use these through our web interface, right? We also provide the capability to integrate with the Cordova plugins, right? So if you have a set of Cordova plugins that you would write to reuse within your Kony applications, we provide you the capability to do that as well. And then you can design HTML5 and CSS or write all these within Kony as well. Now, all of this is powered by our Kony Nitro framework, right? So this is our Kony Nitro framework, and all of the omni-channel, platforms and widgets like the smartphones, the tablets, desktops, and the kiosks and the wearable devices, and all of these are powered by, the Kony Nitro framework, which kind of consists of the Kony omnichannel, the native layer, and the hybrid layer, right? So that was a quick recap of Kony app platform itself, right? So what we will now do is we'll quickly jump into and have a quick recap of the Kony app platform V8. The Kony App Platform V8 was our last major release, right? So this was released in September of 2017, and it was based on three basic themes, right? So we wanted to provide a simplified B2E development experience, a simplified development experience of a rich experience of development, and then we wanted to provide the omni-channel B2C experiences as well, right? So let's see how we did with that, right? So we provided a simplified B2E development experience through our marketplace assets, right? So we have more than, when we released V8, we had more than 100 marketplace assets, which were end-to-end pre-built application templates. They were end-to-end pre-built components. You had components like, a parallax view, a horizontal parallax view, a vertical parallax view, or you had things like, you had different actions on different kinds of buttons. You had different login views for authentication and things like that, right? So we had a lot of those UX components, and then we had a set of pre-built enterprise data connectors as well, right? So connectors to Amadeus, connectors to, GoToMeeting, connectors for Facebook and things like that available in our marketplace as well. So all of these marketplace assets are pre-built components that allow a user to, access them and use them within their application, right? So you can download them, or you can directly download them into your visualizer application, or you can directly download them into your file system and then use them in your visualizer applications as well. Each of these components is highly configurable, right? So it's not just a component that you have to use for marketplace and you cannot configure, but each of these are highly configurable components which provide you the capability to configure them and then, provide some abstracted properties and things like that for simple users, right? So And then we provide the capability to extend these components as well. So you have the option to edit these components, create your own components, and then provide custom events and APIs for each of these components as well, right? So that basically allows you to, start fast using the marketplace components, stay fast by, allowing more custom events and APIs in these components and creating and editing your own components. And then these components are not platform agnostic, right? So you can use these components across mobile, tablet, desktop, right? So you don't have to specifically have a component for each, right? So they're totally extensible, they're configurable, and so they do not have any, you don't really have to compromise with which platforms to use those with and things like that. We also added the capability to, simplify some of the, rich native user experiences, right? So how we did that is we provided a rich library of UX patterns within Visualizer. So if you have noticed with V8 or post V8, you have this, where you had the widget palette. Now if you scroll the widget palette, you have this set of, and many of a comprehensive set of UX patterns, right? So we have things like title bars, we have things like footers, we have headers, we have a lot of, lists, maps, and charts and things like that, right? And each of these, patterns or UI/UX patterns, as I may call them, are built on the native and web frameworks, and they follow the industry standards and practices. Like for iOS, they follow the human interface guidelines, and for Android, they follow the material guidelines, right? So if you kind of drag and drop one title bar onto your canvas, what you're going to see is it may look different between iOS and Android, right? Because the underlying standards or the best practices of designing these is different between these platforms, right? So we have a broad set of samples. We have a lot of UX patterns available within Visualizer for you to drag and drop and then quickly, help you to build rich applications. These also act as a sample for you to design your own, rich experiences within your application as well. We do have all of these UX templates can be dragged and dropped, and they're like directly built upon the native, the native abstracted Kony omnichannel APIs and widgets. And you can go ahead and then after you drag and drop, you can tweak these and you can configure these as well, right? And then finally, we also provided another feature of the V8 release was the Kony App Factory, right? So Kony App Factory basically provides a turnkey managed cloud service to which basically includes source code management, CI/CD, and device testing, right? So it basically brings together people, process, and technology, and allows you to build, test, and deploy your applications, right? So this was offered around December of 2017, and it's part of the V8 release. So that was basically the three major themes of the V8 release, right? And here is the quick summary of the release itself. So we have the updates on the Kony and the components and marketplace. Then we have the rapid app creation and assembly, and then we provided a good set of features for enterprise-grade development, and then a few of the feature app experiences, right? So I'm not going to go into each of these. We have kind of covered most of them in the last few themes. And this is just a recap, but you will find more details on this in our earlier roadmap that was done about a month back in January, right? So that is available on the Basecamp for you to access, and you can review our AppPlatform V8 release in depth using that through that webinar. Now moving into the next release, this was a minor release, or as we call it, a service pack, right? So this was the first service pack that we made available post the V8 release, right? While the focus of the service pack 1 was to improve the overall quality and performance of the platform, we did include some exciting new features as well into this particular release, right? So let's quickly get an overview of what Service Pack 1, which was released in December of 2017 at the end of last year, and what are the features that we had as part of the Service Pack 1. So continuing on our theme for the fastest deployment and development capabilities, we added the an exciting capability here. And this really helps our some of our Middle Eastern customers as well, right? So we provided the support for locale-based layouts, right? So this indirectly means you have support now to create applications not just from left to right, like you usually do for majority of the locales, but you can build applications from right to left as well, right? So just for languages like maybe Arabic and Hebrew, right? So you can the language or the locale is based from right to left, and then these can be Kony Visualizer provides a very simple mechanism to develop applications from right to left, and we'll actually have a quick look at this particular demo in the next few minutes. We added a lot of productivity enhancements within Visualizer. We updated the Visualizer canvas with new devices. We updated a lot of menu items within Visualizer to allow for faster development on Kony Visualizer, right? We also made enhancements to our component framework, and then we updated the themes and tooling within Visualizer as well. We keep making updates to our app preview. So our app preview is the application that provides the users to do a live or view their app live while they are designing and developing through Visualizer using our app preview, which is available on the app stores, right? So if you go to the iOS app store on the Android, Google Play Store, you can actually find a Kony Visualizer app preview application, which allows you to do a live preview of your application. So we keep enhancing that to ensure that, and we keep recommending our users to use that while you are designing and developing. So we added features like tethered app preview there, where you can connect your device directly to your laptop or desktop and then preview your applications, right? So that way it's faster than going through a cloud or going through a Wi-Fi network, right? And then moving ahead, we also provided many features to help with the richest interaction design in the native UX, right? So we, apart from supporting the iPhone 10, we also provided support for Face ID in iPhone in iPhone 10, right? So our existing local authentication APIs that are available for Touch ID, we extended those and we ensured that they work for the Face ID in iPhone 10 as well, right? Apart from that, we added support for Android Oreo within Kony Visualizer. We added the applicable API version for that. And then there were a few new features that came in with iOS 11 for iPad, right? And so some of these were very exciting features for iPad, like the capability to drag and drop content from between applications, right? So we provided this capability as soon as in December when the iOS 11 was launched, and now you have the capability to drag and drop several different kinds of content from our Kony widgets, like text boxes or from images or things like that. You can drag those, and you can add them to, drag them and drop them into any other non-Kony applications as well, right? So you can drag a piece of text from a Kony text box, and you can drop it on in your, notes, or you can drag an image and drop it in your notes or in your email or things like that, right? So that capability was provided as part of the Service Pack 1 as well, and this is specifically for iPad. We made many enhancements to our native title bar, right? So we added a lot of tooling around this, and we made several enhancements to ensure that you have all the capabilities of the native iOS navigation bar, right? So, so the title bar that's available in Kony Visualizer can do almost everything that the navigation bar within iOS provides, right? And then we also made a few small enhancements to the label and the video widget. We do keep making improvements to our performance, to the performance of our widgets, to the performance of our segments and things like that to our lists. In this particular release we added a few APIs and properties to improve the image caching mechanism on iOS and Android to ensure that you can catch images once you download them on the device, and then you don't have to download them again until there is a difference between there is a delta between the cached image and the image on your server. Moving ahead, we also added many capabilities for easing and speeding up the backend integration, right? So apart from improving our CI support, which is the headless support without the need of an installation of Kony Visualizer, so we have this CI support, and where we made enhancements to support Windows, universal applications, and even generate an IPA for iOS directly, and not just generate the the intermediate file, but also generate the IPA. So you have the capability to provide your your enterprise certificates and usernames and passwords, and actually develop or generate the IPA directly using our CI builds. We did provide a lot of capabilities on our offline objects, like the capability to cascade delete, the capability, we added the encryption capability for SQLite, we added analytics for our offline objects as well. We added several capabilities on Fabric, like and the SDK to be able to upload large binary files, to be able to asynchronously upload and download large apps and things like that, and then updates to our configuration service as well. And then we keep making updates to our automated production and insights, right? So this means that we keep making updates to our security, because security is an important aspect of any enterprise application or any consumer application as well. So we keep making improvements there, and we keep making improvements to our application monitoring and APM services. So we have added the APM capabilities and made enhancements in SPA and desktop web in our service pack release. And then we provided the API portal on-prem, and then we provided a bunch of feature additions on the App Factory, like the capability of the CI and the App Factory console on Fabric and things like that, right? So this is kind of a quick summary, end-to-end summary of a Service Pack 1, again, which is the first release after our Kony App Platform V8, right? Now, let me quickly jump into one of the major highlights of this release, right? So the capability to, base your layout on the locale, right? So this provides you the capability to support right to left and left to right layouts, right? So what you can do is once you design your applications in Visualizer, you can mirror flex position properties, you can mirror content alignment properties, you can control these customizations at the widget level, and then you can control the customizations at the API level, right? So let's look at how we can do this using a quick demo here. So in this particular demo, I have an application that's built using the left to right. I've built it all in English, right? So if you look at the canvas, you can see it's all in English. And then let me go to the internationalization settings over here. And if you see, my current locale is just English, right? So I'll enable the I18 configuration, and then I'll choose two languages that have a right to left layout here, which is Arabic. Here I have options to now select the flex position properties and the content alignment properties, right? So I selected those. English is already selected, but I don't want to mirror my layouts and my content for English, right? So I'm just going to leave that blank and then come back to my internationalization, add my keys and values for the language that I've selected, and then and then I'm going to go in and then click on finish, right? Now when I come to the canvas, I see all the different languages available here, and if I select Arabic, you see the layout of the form has changed from right to left, right? All the labels have moved from to start from the right instead of the left. we have this custom properties to select a specific widget and say if I have to override these properties, right? If I want to override certain alignment properties, or you have the API level, configuration where I can, go in and say, okay, for this particular locale, I want to override how it works at the API level. Now, I take this hamburger menu and I'll, at the API level, I want to change the direction of where the hamburger menu usually comes in from, right? So let me go in, do that, and build my application. Now, so this is an app preview, right? So on the app preview, I'm looking at my application on my default locale, which is English. All the, all the labels start from the left, and all the alignment is from the left. And then I have the menu, which is, again, moving from the left to the right, right? Now, let me go to the settings here, and I'll change the language and the region to Arabic. And once I change the language to Arabic, you will see that, and then let me launch the application again. Now you'll see that all the layout itself has changed from, right to left instead of the left to right, right? So all the labels start from right to left, and any of the, Arabic content that I have, that starts from right to left. And now if you notice the menu at the top, that has moved to the right as well, right? And then the menu starts from the right and moves to the left in this particular case, right? So I can control how my APIs work, in this case, how the menu works, and how, my alignment works, and how the content is, aligned using this locale-based layout, right? So this is a powerful, design capability or layout capability that we have provided in this particular service pack 1 release of AppPlatform V8, right? Again, like you saw, we haven't specifically designed it again for Arabic. It's just one single, form, one single design element, and then it automatically, based on the locale settings, it takes care of converting my application to a different layout, right? With that, so we have like, here's a quick summary of Kony Visualizer and on all the features that we had product-wise on Kony Visualizer as part of the Service Pack 1. And then here is a quick look at the same thing on Kony Fabric, right? So I won't get into details. We have already covered most of these when we went through the different themes that we had in Service Pack 1, but I just wanted to have a quick view based on each of the products as well, right? So without further ado, like let's move on to what the future looks like, right? What do we have in our Kony AppPlatform roadmap, right? So this is our planned roadmap for the next few for the next release and the next few releases, right? And I'd like to just remind quickly that the information in these is subject to change, and there may be you may notice differences, or you may notice changes from what we have over here, and this information is subject to change as well. So moving on, what we So moving on, and then providing you the details on this, right? So the shift to omnichannel development adds new complexities and drive new market requirements, especially for companies that have made investments in digital, right? So organizations can optimize one or two critical capabilities like speed of development, UX, security, but usually not all of them simultaneously, right? So at Kony, we believe that organizations should not have to compromise. And that is how we differentiate. And here is how the Kony AppPlatform works, right? So we provide this capability to start fast with Kony's low-code, visual canvas, and effortless deployment capabilities. And then we provide the capability to stay fast with reusable assets and pre-built integrations to over more than 100 marketplace components. We eliminate eliminate compromises with full omnichannel support for phones, tablets, web, and desktop. Plus automated predictions and insights, and all guaranteed with our SLAs, our guaranteed SLAs, right? Now, these differentiators is what our roadmap is built upon, right? So when we go into the roadmap, you would see that these are the themes that we actually build our roadmap upon, right? So let's start with the first theme, right? The fastest development and deployment speed. So we plan to provide the responsive web design tooling as well as the output channel within Visualizer, right? So what this means is that you will have the capability to design responsive web layouts or responsive web outputs within Kony Visualizer. This means you'll have the capability to define breakpoints. You'll have a responsive grid layout within the Visualizer canvas, and then you can have you'll have the capability to manipulate each of these breakpoints separately, right? You can use different components, you can use different widgets across these different breakpoints to create your fluid layout within Visualizer, right? So apart from the responsive web development capabilities, we are also enhancing how our existing web widgets and APIs work. We are adding much more performance improvements to our existing web capabilities, and then ensuring that you have the most optimized responsive web output channel available as part of our upcoming release. We also, apart from the responsive web design, we also are planning on adding the capability to rapidly assemble your applications using Sketch, right? So you can, what we plan is we'll have a plugin that will be available for Sketch, and which will enable our users to generate Kony forms. So how this will work is you can convert your artboards that you have within Sketch to Kony forms and Kony widgets. You can export shapes within artboards as either Kony widgets or as rasterized as images, right? And you have the capabilities to configure groups, you have the capabilities to work with symbols and things like that, and then you can convert all of the different artboards for mobile, tablet, desktop channels, and as well as for different project types like freeform project or a reference architecture project as well. We do plan to have an app-centric view added in the admin console. So this would basically allow the Fabric console, enables the Fabric console users to run, to see runtime information of their applications, and then it also would enable, the console, the admin console users to see apps defined in the Fabric console. Like I said, we keep making multiple enhancements to our app preview as well, right? So app preview is an important part of Kony Visualizer, and we want to ensure that we have the best capabilities there for our users to, use the live preview capabilities. So as part of the app preview, we are we're making enhancements to the marketplace view within app preview. And then we are making enhancements to the debugging capabilities within App Preview itself. So you can use, so as you know, from the Service Pack 1, you can use App Preview for debugging your applications as well. So if you don't really have to build an entire application to do the App Preview, but you can use to build your application for debugging, but you can use the App Preview for it, right? And we are improving that. We are improving more exceptions and error control mechanisms within App Preview to help you with your development apart from just the design. We are adding the capability to preview your applications on iPhones while being tethered to a Windows laptop or desktop as well, right? Apart from several other UX enhancements that we are making to the App Preview application itself. In order to eliminate any compromises with full omnichannel support and provide you the richest interaction design and native UX capabilities, we are making additional investments around including the Android Wear as tooling, as part of an output channel as well, right? So with this, users will have the capability to design an Android Wear application or an Android Watch application. It's basically a wearable application So we already have this capability for Apple Watch today. You can drag and drop and design Apple Watch applications, but we are extending that for Android Wear as well. So now with the new investments around this, you can design for a square and a round-faced watch, and then you can drag and drop widgets and set properties all within the visualizer canvas for Android Wear, right? We'll have support for all the other generic elements of visualizer along with this, like the capability of the templates, the capability to use components, the different resource folders for Android Wear, and the different settings and configurations that are needed for Android Wear. Of course, there will be the capabilities to include the Android Wear emulators to help you, design and develop for Android Wear, and then there will be an output channel specifically to allow you to generate an application for Wear, right? We keep adding more and more power or more and more capabilities to our omni-channel widgets and APIs, right? We keep enhancing these to ensure that our developers have the most, the simplest and the easiest abstraction of these underlying native APIs. We don't want to expose our developers to the complexities that the underlying APIs provide for each of the OS, right? We do have those available through our native function interface, but we want to ensure that our omni-channel capabilities, which is our core framework, ensures and keeps on and getting enhancements, right? So based on that, in our upcoming releases, you should see enhancements for new widgets like steppers and bottom sheets for Android, or the capability to add blur to containers, or the capability to manipulate the height of segment rows, for example, right? So apart from adding new widgets, we keep on enhancing the existing widgets and the properties within these widgets as well, right? Now, some of these may be native properties of these widgets, or some of these may not be, but what we do is we write the custom code to help you with some of these newer capabilities that even the native views for some of these widgets may not be providing, right? Then we keep updating our APIs as well. So in our upcoming few enhancements for omni-channel APIs, you should be able to see APIs that will, like the payment APIs, that will abstract over the native Apple Pay and the Google Pay APIs, right? So there will be a cross-platform and an abstracted payments API, the Kony payments API, that allows you to make payment-related, transactions within your applications. We are adding some platform-specific API additions, like the keychain API for Android and things like that, and then APIs to, support multi-window views, APIs to support picture-in-picture, and these kinds of different APIs, right? Apart from these, we keep updating the performance, like I said, of our web widgets, and so we are going to improve performance of our segments and lists on web, specifically on desktop web, specifically on SPA, and keep on improving our widgets. The views of these widgets, some of the, having a different set of skins and things to design these views, or have an updated view for each of these widgets. We keep upgrading our NFI capabilities as well, and in our next upcoming releases, you should find that the NFIs, the native function interface, build generation performance has improved massively, where we have where it would take a few minutes earlier to create applications with native function interface. It should just be all done within a few seconds now, right? So that is our investments around, providing the richest user experience and the native UX as well. So, and as we continue to improve the ease and the speed of backend integrations, we we keep on making investments in that area as well, right? So to help you do that, we have made enhancements to our Kony reference architecture as well, right? So we introduced Kony architecture in Kony 7.x releases, and then we have kept enhancing this reference architecture. And this particular release, we plan to enhance the model layer of the Kony reference architecture, and we'll add the capabilities in that to generate getters and setters for each of the fields in an object from the app data model, right? So when you generate the model, and when you're connected to Fabric, you're connected to a particular object service, and you're trying to generate the object model out of these objects. Now, what we will do is we'll generate the getters and setters for each of the object model, for each of the fields in those objects, so that your application can directly call these getters to get data from these objects, and then to set data on these objects, you can use the setters which are available as part of these models, right? We are also making investments to help with Docker and Kubernetes deployments on Azure. So basically, Kubernetes and Docker are chosen as part of the Kony cloud solution to basically enable, a platform-agnostic solution to cater to the cloud platforms, right? So this release basically will enable you to deploy this on Azure, right? There are several inbuilt capabilities to enable this, like the ability to scale the containers, to the ability for load balancing within multiple nodes, and all that is taken care of, and to ensure that you have the capability to deploy on Azure. We keep making enhancements to our offline objects, right? So offline objects is an important part of our applications to enable offline content within our applications. And as part of the investments we are making to our offline objects, we are adding the support for custom sync configuration policies, such as the capability to upload only, the capability to download only, and things like that. Apart from enabling upload cache, and then enhancements to upload and download the binary files and things like that as well. We keep securing our existing JavaScript capabilities on Fabric, right? And based on that, we are making a few investments to ensure making inline JavaScript safe in Fabric as well. And finally, like I said, in providing protection, providing the capability of, insights into the applications that you develop is an important part of the applications that you have, right? So we keep making enhancements in this area as well, and we are optimizing the data load logic to the cloud data warehouse, and implementing several features to help optimize the reporting performance. And so this should help you see a better performance with our analytics and our reporting itself. We are making several enhancements to our managed app monitoring service, right? So this basically enables you to capture real-time monitoring data from the server. This will allow you to proactively monitor APIs for your Fabric services, right? So users of your Fabric services, you can have proactive API monitoring for them. A dashboard will be created with this data showing the traffic flow, the performance, and the error rates, and all those kinds of things, and the admin console, right? We are making investments to provide the ability to track all the actions performed in console in the form of audit logs as well, right? So any of the actions that are performed in the console, they can be tracked now, and then you would be able to see that as part of the admin console, right? These are really important from both diagnostic as well as a process perspective, right? And then we keep upgrading our engagement, security, and APM enhancements as well. We keep making enhancements in those areas as well.
With this release, specifically for engagement services, we're making updates to have the ability to perform, complete inserts or complete update of events into engagement server by doing an import. We're providing enhancements to the creation of geo-boundaries within the engagement services console and things like that, right? So like you can see, we keep making enhancements to these layers like security, APM, engagement with every release to ensure that we provide more and more capabilities here, right? So this is just a summary of some of the exciting features to look forward to in our upcoming releases of the app platform. At Kony, we keep pushing the envelope to deliver powerful features and throughout our app platform to enable and accelerate our customers on the omni-channel journey with exceptional, to be able to develop, exceptional, secure, and affordable applications, right? So that's all that I have today. Ensure you follow us on, the Kony Basecamp to keep sharing the updates and to keep sharing the latest on what's happening on, the Kony app platform or what's happening on other products of Kony Basecamp. You can always have the latest view of what is new within each of the products of the app platform, specifically Kony Visualizer and Kony Fabric, by going on to the What's New page on Kony.com. The links are provided here. And we will have a webinar in the next couple of months when we have our next release, which is the Service Pack 2, right? And Suhas Bhatt, who is the Senior Director of Product Management at Kony, will be hosting that webinar for you. And ensure you to tune into that webinar, and I think you can see a lot of features that we talked about today, a part of that particular release, and then you can have a deep dive into those features and see how you can actually use them within Visualizer. Now I think we have about 5 to 6 minutes. And I think we can take some questions. If there are any unanswered questions, we can definitely take those in the next 5 minutes.
Thank you, Faizan. Please use the Q&A if you have any questions. Okay, it looks like we don't have any questions. Do you want to say something?
No, I was just saying that I think Suhas has already answered many of the questions on our Q&A. If there are any questions that are still unanswered, or if any of the of our participants have any other questions, they can actually raise them.
Yeah.
Looks like we have one question about in the Q&A, the last one. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that. So the question is, it's from Gabriel. It says, people that already are certified as instructors or developers in Kony 7 will have some kind of update to those certifications for V8. So we keep upgrading our training, and we keep updating our tutorials on our, on Basecamp specifically, right? So if you come back to the Basecamp, if you're following us on Basecamp, you should be able to, see new tutorials, not only for V7 or V8, but you see it for every new release, right? So, but to be specific to your question, Gabriel, we do have a new set of tutorials, a new set of documentation, as well as I'm sure we have a new set of, training material within Basecamp that allows you to, ramp up on our app platform version 8 as well, right? So we keep updating our, ensure you watch our tutorials. They have a step-by-step, flow of the new features. go through our documentation, go through our release notes, which has a list of all the new features, and then it provides you, access to all these new features as well.
Thanks, Gabriel. Any other questions? Okay, we'll be posting the recording of this webinar on Basecamp. Check out the events page. I'm putting the URL in the chat. And we will look forward to seeing you next week at our upgrade workshop, March 6th. Thanks, Faison, for presenting.
Thank you.